Part 4, The Great Shark Hunt. 4:30 in Cozumel now. Dawn is coming up on these gentle white beaches, looking west at the Yucatan Channel. 30 yards from my patio here at the Cabanas del Caribe, the surf is rolling up, very softly, on the beach out there in the darkness beyond the palm trees. Many vicious mosquitoes and sand fleas out here tonight. There are 60 units in this rambling beachfront hotel, but my room, number 129, is the only one full of light and music and movement. I have both my doors and all 4 windows propped open, a huge bright magnet for every bug on the island, but I am not being bitten. Every inch of my body, from the soles of my bleeding bandaged feet to the top of my sun-scorched head, is covered with 6 to 12 insect repellent. A cheap, foul-smelling oil with no redeeming social or aesthetic characteristics except that it works. These goddamn bugs are all around, settling on the notebook, my wrist, my arms, circling the rim of my tall glass of Bacardi and ice, but no bites. It has taken about 6 days to solve this hellish bug problem, which is excellent news on the one level, but as always, the solution to one problem just peels back another layer and exposes some new and more sensitive area. At this stage of the gig, things like mosquitoes and sand fleas are the least of our worries. Because in about 2 hours and 22 minutes, I have to get out of this hotel without paying an unnaturally massive bill. Drive about 3 miles down the coast in a rented VW Safari that can't be paid for either, and which may not even make it into town due to serious mechanical problems, and then get my technical advisor, Yale Bloor, out of the Masan San Miguel without paying his bill either, and then drive us both out to the airport in that goddamn junk Safari to catch the 7:50 Aero-Mexican flight to Merida and Monterey, where we'll change planes for San Antonio and Denver. So we are looking at a very heavy day. 2,000 miles between here and home. No cash at all. 10 brutally expensive days in 3 hotels on the Striker Aluminum Yachts credit tab, which just got jerked out from under us when the local PR team decided we were acting too weird to be what we claimed to be. And so now we are down to about $44 extra between us, with my bill at the Cabanas hovering around $650, and Bloor's at the San Miguel not much less. Plus 11 days for that wretched car from the local Avis dealer, who already hit me for $40 cash for a broken windshield, and God only knows how much he'll demand when he sees what condition his car is in now. Plus about $400 worth of black coral that we ordered up from China, double thumb fist, Coke spoons, shark's teeth, etc. And that $120 18-karat gold chain at the market. Also Sandy's black coral necklace. We will need all available cash for the black coral deal, so things like hotel bills and car rentals will have to be put off and paid by check, if anybody will take one, or charged to Striker Aluminum Yachts, which got me into this goddamn twisted scene in the first place. But the Striker people are no longer with us. Extreme out front hostility. Bruce, Joyce, even the bogus lecher, Eduardo. How did we blow the image? Indeed. No shots. Just a tourist card, plenty of copper tone, a new pair of topsiders, and a fine gringo smile for the customs officers. The letter called up visions of heavy sport on the high seas, mano a mano with giant sailfish and world record marlin, reeling the bastards in, fighting off sharks with big gaffs, strapped into a soft white naugahyde fighting chair in the cockpit of a big power cruiser. And then back to the harbor at dusk for a brace of gin and tonics, tall drinks in the sunset, lounging around in cool deck chairs while the crew chops up bait and a strolling mariachi band roams on the pier, wailing mournful Olmec love songs. Ah, yes, I was definitely ready for it. 16 months of straight politics had left me reeling around on the brink of a nervous breakdown. I needed a change, something totally different from my normal line of work. Covering politics is a vicious, health-ripping ordeal that often requires 8 or 9 shots at once, twice or 3 times a week in the peak season. So this unexpected assignment to cover a deep-sea fishing tournament off the Yucatan coast of Mexico was a welcome relief from the horrors of the campaign trail in 1972. Right. Things would be different now. Hot sun, salt air, early to bed and early to rise. This one had all the signs of a high-style bag job. Fly off to the Caribbean as a guest of the idle rich, hang around on their boats for a week or so, then crank out a left-handed story to cover expenses and pay for a new motorcycle back in the Rockies. The story itself was a bit on the hazy side, but the editor at Playboy said not to worry. Almost everybody unfortunate enough to have had any dealings with me since the campaign ended seemed convinced that I was in serious need of a vacation, a cooling out period, a chance to back off. And this fishing tournament in Cozumel looked just about perfect. It would pry my head out of politics, they said, and force me off in a new direction, out of the valley of death and back towards the land of the living. There was, however, a kink. I had just come back from a vacation. It was the first one I ever attempted, or at least the first one I tried since I was fired from my last regular job on Christmas Day in 1958, when the production manager at Time magazine ripped up my punch card in a stuttering rage and told me to get the fuck out of the building. Since then, I've been unemployed, in the formal sense of that word. And when you've been out of work for 14 years, it's almost impossible to relate to a word like vacation. So I was extremely nervous when circumstances compelled me, in the late winter of '72, to fly to Cozumel with my wife Sandy, in order to do nothing at all. 3 days later, I ran out of air in a riptide, 90 feet down on the Pelican Reef, and I came so close to drowning that they said later I was lucky to get off with a serious case of the bends. The nearest decompression chamber was in Miami, so they chartered a plane and flew me right there that same night. I spent the next 19 days in a pressurized sphere somewhere in downtown Miami, and when I finally came out, the bill was $3,000. My wife finally located my attorney in a drug commune on the outskirts of Mazatlan. He flew immediately to Florida and had the courts declare me a pauper, so I was able to leave without legal problems. I went back to Colorado with the idea of resting for at least 6 months, but 3 days after I got home, this assignment came in to cover the fishing tournament. It was a natural, they said, because I was already familiar with the island, and besides, I needed a change from politics. Which was true in a way, but I had my own reasons for wanting to go back to Cozumel. On the evening before my near-fatal scuba dive on Pelican Reef, I had stashed 50 units of pure MDA in the adobe wall of the shark pool at the local aquarium next to the Hotel Barracuda. And this stash had been much on my mind while I was recovering from the bends in the Miami hospital. So when the Cozumel assignment came through, I drove immediately into town to consult with my old friend and drug crony Yale Bloor. I explained the circumstances in detail, then asked his advice.